Now, last week I told you that we are going to continue with another case today. We are going to read another case today. You know, but on a second thought, I felt that as a teacher, it would be a good thing for me to say that since we have read two cases together in the class, and by doing that, you should be able to at least by at this moment, you should be able to pick up any case, right, and read it and understand it properly. Understand the story behind the case. Then you are now set. You are now set for the analysis, right? So I've decided that, okay, today we are supposed to read the May 2021 diet in addition to the November 2019 and July 2020. So we are supposed to read the May 2021. So I thought within myself that fine, if we have done it twice together, I think it will be nice for you, for the purpose of learning, to try out a new case on your own. So I will tell you that the May 2021, I've dropped it on your WhatsApp group. So you will have to read it by yourself. Okay, I know you can do that now. You can read cases and understand the story behind the case very well now. So there won't be need for us to now use all of today to read the case. So we can go to something else today. So what are we going to do today? So we are going to start our lecture proper. Now you have the case study kit on the platform, so you can open the case study kit. You can also have it opened on your gadget, maybe phone or laptop. So basically, we have. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So basically, we have about 9 lecture series. We have about 9 lecture series 1 to 9, right? So we are going to start the lecture series today. The first class we had lecture series 1, but we'll try as much as possible to go over it once again for the purpose of those who missed the class, and for the other reason that the class was not recorded on that day. So I will have to go over it once more. Okay, so I welcome you once again. Now, for the lecture series 1, we are going to look at the general introduction and meaning of case study. We are looking at the general introduction to case study and meaning of case study. So what do we have to look at? Now, year in, year out, every diet, ICAN students got to be introduced to a new teaching style. Just like you are attending case study now, you are being introduced to an entirely new teaching method, which is called the case method. It's a type of teaching method, and I'm sure it will be new to you. The reason, yes, so far you are still in this Nigeria, I'm very sure that the other lecture method you are being introduced to is different from this, and this might be new to you. And for a start, you might find it a bit difficult to to adjust to. However, it's very simple and very good to apply. Okay, so basically there are two methods of teaching. There are basically two methods of teaching. Okay, the first method is the lecture method. And the lecture method is what we have used right from your primary school up to the university. You are still using it in ICAN classes now, right? So what is the lecture method? Is what you know. Someone who is vast in a particular topic, maybe a professor, a doctor, maybe an expert in a particular field, comes to the class. He knows all the theories in that field, all the models, all the frameworks. He knows everything in that field. So he comes to the class. In fact, sometimes they are called the sage on the stage, because you always have an expert on the stage who want to pass knowledge, who want to transfer knowledge to a group of people. And that's why you see in lecture halls, you see, thousands, sometimes you see thousands of students, right, in lecture hall. And only one person who is the expert will be teaching. It is called the sage on the stage. So why do we have this method? There are many reasons why we have this method, why it is popular. One of it is that it is very, very easy for someone to transfer knowledge. It makes it very easy to transfer knowledge. Everything you know, so far you have prepared yourself. You don't want to mess up. Then you come to the class and transfer it through lecture, through discussions, to the what? To the students. That is it. It is very easy to transfer knowledge. And that is why it is very common. And another thing is, it is very easy. The case study, the lecture method makes it very easy to test the ability of students, whether they have understanding of what you have taught them. And that is why when you see questions in the lecture method, it's always come in form of what is, define this, define that. What are the advantages of that? What are the disadvantages of this? Okay. And it's very easy to even test multiple choice questions. Which is the correct answer out of the following? Choose the correct answer out of the following. So it makes it very easy to transfer knowledge, and it is very easy to test the students. Those are the two main advantages of the lecture method. And one other thing you need to know about the lecture method is that it always focuses on the what of a particular thing, or it gives you what to think about. So it can present a theory. Okay, it presents a theory, maybe the theory of it can present a theory, maybe in science, Newton's law of motion. Okay, then you can start thinking about the Newton's law of motion. But the thing is that it will never tell you, or it will never give you the opportunity to know how that law came about. No. So the major shortfall, the major disadvantage of the lecture method is that it does not give the student, or it does not give the student the opportunity on how to think about a thing. Let me give you an instance. You are given, you say you attend a football university, okay? You attend a football university. Sorry for those who are not football fans here, And, for the lecture method in the football university, all you will be doing is come to the class, your lecturer will come and teach you about different things in football, put things on the board, display on with the, what do you call it? Display on the screen, okay? Maybe give you some videos to watch and some other materials, give you materials to read, handouts, and all that. That's all you will do. In fact, some other times, you might even be taken out for excursion. They take you to a football stadium, okay? They take you to a football stadium and you watch a live football match. All of this, I can tell you, is only about what to think about. Now, the question becomes, how then, as a football student, can you put into practice everything you have learned? How can you put them into practice everything you have learned? That is the major disadvantage of the lecture method. And that is how the case method, or the case study method, which is the second method of teaching, came about. Because the thing is that you have gone to the football university, you have learned about it, but most of those things you have learned, you may find it difficult to apply in real life situation. Why? Because you were never given the opportunity to put into practice all those things that you have learned. You were never given the opportunity. So let's now look at the day. Fine, you are now a graduate of football. You apply for a job, and you applied as let's even say a manager, a football manager. You apply, and you are asked to now take your players to play a certain match. How will you go about it? How will you go about the proper selection of students? How will you go about the technicalities, the tactics, the formation, the strategy to be used to win matches? How will you go about those things? Okay. Now you will see that the scenario will be different. The situation will be different. If during the time you are taking lectures, say after a particular lectures on tactical formation, right? On tactical formation, and you are taken to maybe a lower academy team, and say that, and you are assigned to a lower academy team, and you are told that, okay, see, all those things that you just learned, this team now, they have a match tomorrow. We want you to demonstrate what you have learned, apply it to that match, and win the match. It is different. The game is now different. And that is the difference between the lecture method and the case method. Now, more than what to think about, what is this, what is that, you can now start to say, how do I apply this to this scenario? You start thinking, okay, I can use 4-3-3. Okay, who are the first four that I will use? In selecting these first four, what were we taught in the class in order to select them? The next four, the next three, how do I select them? The last three, how do I select them? Then you start thinking of how, instead of only what that the lecture method is restricted to. Now, there are a couple of benefits. There are a couple of benefits of the case method. And before that, the medical field, only the medical field in this country that I know of that have been applying the case method in training medical students in Nigeria. How? I know that right from their 300 level, I used to know that from LAUTECH then, right from their 300 level, they go for, they start their clinical medicine. They call it clinical medicine. Now, what do they do then? They take them to the teaching hospital, and that's why you see that most of the schools who run the medicine program, they have teaching hospitals, right? So they take them to the teaching hospital. They are assigned to a particular doctor who is also a teacher, but a practicing medical doctor, right? They assign them to the doctor. The doctor will now assign patients to each of, say he has been assigned 10 students, to each of the 10 students, maybe they will have one patient or two patients each. And every day, it tells them what to do, how to go for hospital runs, how to check this, how to check that. So you see that apart from the theoretical classes that they will have, they are also being taken through the practical side of the profession. God forbid, such is not being done to the medical student. You know, the whole country, the whole world will be in a mess by now. Even as they are being taught with the, clinical medicine, what do we see? We see have some medical doctors that make such mistake, which has led to the death of so many patients all over the world. They make mistake, they forget medical equipment inside a patient. Okay, but the thing is that the clinical medicine, even after their graduation, they go for housemanship, they go for other trainings, other practical trainings, in order to go through the practicalities of the profession. So I was talking about the benefit. There are a few benefits here. It teaches the student how to think and apply knowledge to real life situation, just like the football match. If the manager was only taught on theoretical basis, right, and was not taken to and was not given a team to manage, how will he apply those things? Right? How? Okay, but the case method gives them that opportunity to apply what the theories, the models, everything they've learned to real life situation. And it allows for mistake. And why mistake? Mistake has been seen to help improve knowledge. because from mistake, you learn from it and you can know more better. And this method also prepares students for the job. For the job. Even if you don't have actual work experience, the case method will prepare you as if you have had the real life experience. And it provides, it makes available practical, approach to learning. Practical approach to learning. So it makes people to have practical approach to learning, right? Not just about theories. You do practicals too. You are involved. You see yourself as practicing what you are being taught, right? And so what then is case study, or what is a case? What is a case? Of course, I'm very sure that not even ICAN examiner will ask you that question. Now, not even in case study, you can't get that question. What is a case? Define case study. No, it's not possible. But we need to have a definition for a case or a case study. So usually, a case can be defined as a scenario. As a scenario that presents management students with the chance to identify business-related problems by applying relevant theories, models, and analytical tools. So usually, a case is a scenario that comes with real-life business-related problems. In terms of management students, accounting students now, it gives them real-life business-related problems. In order for them to be able to apply all the theories, models, frameworks, standards, all the things that they have learned over the course of their learning to such problem and solve it and come out with a solution. That is a case study. Now, here is the thing. Cases can either be a real life or fictional. So real life is one thing that has happened before, something that has happened before, now repackaged and presented to students to solve. That is real life case. Okay? Fictional case, on the other hand, is when the examiner, thinks about possible issues, come up about possible issues that affect businesses, and package it as a scenario and present it to the student to solve. So, and I can boldly tell you that ICAN case study, to a very large extent, has been real life situation. ICAN has tested real life situation. And I have few examples here. In May 2017, ICAN tested a scenario they called Jaga Technologies. Jaga Technologies. And the scenario is about explosion of Samsung phones. I know, or how many of you remember that in late 2015 and 2016, during that period, there was this issue of Samsung phone explosion all over the world. Please, you can Google it on your phone now. Google Samsung phone explosion in 2016. Google, you will see. both the local news channels, the international news channels like BBC, NBC, and all that picked up the news. It was all over the place. That time, Samsung phone was just exploding here and there. You plug it inside, it will explode. You plug it outside, it will explode. And at the time, Samsung started recalling the phones and refunding customers. Okay, so in May 2017, ICAN tested exactly that scenario. ICAN tested exactly that Samsung scenario. They called it Jaga Technologies. It is the same. In November 2019, that case, that DFFP case that we read, it tested the agri business in Nigeria. And the scenario was about the Buhari's administration plan to diversify the Nigeria economy by focusing on what? On agriculture. On agriculture. And that was what it did. The administration invested massively to the extent that, and this is a joke, to the extent that the president was taken to value the lives of cows more than Nigerians because of the interest in agriculture. So that case was testing that scenario. March, July 2020, right? I mean, that's the second case we read, was about the COVID-19. And I can boldly tell you that that March, July 2019 was testing the impact of the COVID-19 on ICAN as a professional organization, or ICAN, the impact of that COVID-19 on ICAN and its activities. We have some other issues, other cases like that. The May 2021 tested healthcare issues in Nigeria. The May 2022 tested fashion industry in Nigeria. Now, there are 5 basic traits that every case scenario that you come about must have in order to actually achieve the purpose. And the purpose is to give you real life experience, right? So the purpose of cases is to give you real life experience, to push the experience back to you. So there are 5 traits that each case must have. The first one is enormous business problems, troubles, or issues. So a case must come with different issues. For example, the DFFP's case came with the fact that they want to know how their business is performing. So you have to do financial statement analysis. They also want to know whether they should take up the contract sales service from Ditoy Farm. Sorry, from D-Shop, right? So these are issues to them, okay? So it must come with issues. The Jaga technology, the phones were exploding. What are they going to do? Are they going to recall? The cost of recalling, the cost of refunding, how do they refund? The money they've collected from the sales, they must have spent it on something else. How will they start paying back to refund the customers, to refund the distributor, to refund the, okay? So these are issues. So cases must come with enormous issues that will shake the management, that they will need to make a very informed decision. Cases must also have sufficient information. And that is why in cases you will see information about the industry will be given to you, Information about the complaint, the background information about the complaint, the history, their future plan, their growth potential, and all that will be given to you. The economic information will be given to you. So many information. In fact, financial information will be given to you. Maybe information about their plans, their projects, investment will also be given to you. So it will come with lots of information. Then there will not be any stated conclusion. Yes, there will not be any stated, there's no conclusion. So it is your job to now make the conclusion for them. No already made conclusion. And the case will be presented in a non-linear way, non-linear organization. The organization of the case will be non-linear. They can't tell you, it will start more like, you will not have the background of the complaint. I mean, more, let's assume you want to read a story now, a storybook. You see the storybook will start from maybe the background of the girl they want to talk about. The village the girl is living, maybe then she moved from the village to the city, then she attended certain primary school, secondary school. She left that city to another town or another state to attend university. There's a linear flow of information, but not in case study. The information will be scattered. Okay, and that is the reason why after reading a case, you might end up getting confused about the case. That is the reason, because the case has not been is not arranged in a linear way. And lastly, there won't be any ready-made solution or recommendation. No. It will present the issue. So it will now be your job as the analyst in the case to make your own findings, do your analysis, and come up with the right solution. It is your duty to analyze the scenario and come up with the right solution. So now, what are your functions? What are your role as an analyst in the case? What role do you have to play as an analyst in case? The first role you need to play is for you to identify the problems, the key problems, the relevant problems presented in the case. What are those problems presented in the case? Let's take, for example, the what do you call it? The DFFP's case. What are the problems? One, they want to know how they are faring in terms of performance. So you need to do an analysis of their financial information, financial statement. They also want to know whether taking up the projects, the contract from this shop will be favorable to them, will be profitable to them. Excuse me, please. They want to know. That's another problem there. That's another challenge for them there. They also want to know that the investment they are to make into the installation of meat processing plants, whether it will be viable or not. So it will be your job, it is your responsibility to identify these core problems. And the reason why this is important is many students, many students will go on and be talking about and leave these key problems and talk about the board of directors, talk about some other irrelevant issues. Okay, so your role will be to identify the core problem. Then you are to develop and compare alternative solutions to the problems. Look for different solutions and compare them so that at the end of the day, you are presenting to them the best solution. Then you look at the advantages of that solution so that you are choosing the best. Then select the best and make recommendations. And lastly, write up your case analysis in appropriate case analysis report format. You write up your case analysis in appropriate what? Case report format. Okay? So this is the first time you are hearing that. You can see that I'm not saying you should just write a report. No. In appropriate report format. Many organizations, they have the way they write reports. Okay? Right. So cases, different cases. In fact, most of the cases, they come with, when I say most of the cases, ICAN case study is different. It's different from ICAW case. It's different from cases you may be given for your academic training. Maybe you are doing your MSc, I have MSc students from UK most of the time. So when they are bringing cases to me, it comes with guideline on how to present the case. Okay, so your presentation must follow that guideline, maybe format or template. It must follow it. So it must, for it to be appropriate, it must follow the laid down template of format. Right. So what makes a good case analysis? It must clearly identify the core or relevant problems. As I've said earlier, it must analyze the underlying issues. What are those issues that cause the problem? They use appropriate technology and present feasible and complementary recommendations that are implementable. So you are not advising the client or your employer in the case just anyhow. The advice must be such that they can implement if it were to be in real life situation. It must be implementable. Okay? It must be implementable. So what are those factors? Another thing I want us to discuss is those factors that usually distinguish the successful candidates in case study examination. What are those factors? One, good planning and strict time management. Good planning and strict time management. So you must plan yourself, and the plan must include the structure, the technique that you want to use to solve cases. You must have planned it. You must have practiced that technique over and over and over again before the exam. And you must follow a strict time management because cases usually have time limitation. For ICAN case study, for instance, you only have 4 hours. You have 4 hours to solve the case. And out of the 4 hours, 1 hour is for you to read. Another 1 hour for you to do computations. And you have 2 hours, 2 good hours to write the report. So If you have spent 1.5 hours to read the case because you did not attend the reading class that we did for 2-3 weeks, you don't attend it, you are now reading the case for 1.5 hours. After reading the case for 1.5 hours, you are doing your computations for another 1.5 hours instead of 1 hour. That means you have wasted 3 hours already, and you only have 1 hour to write the report. That 1 hour cannot be enough. Even the 2 hours suggested has never been enough. You are now restricted to 1 hour. So you must follow a strict time management. You must do a good and quality financial statement analysis. That means you must be perfect. You must be good at computing ratios and interpreting the ratios in order to tell the story behind the numbers you have been presented with. Then you must be able to do good financial data analysis, that is project appraisal. You must be able to do good project appraisal. Then you must be able to produce quality appendix. So appendix is where you do your computations, which should not be put in the body of the report, to be outside the report. Okay, so you must create a good appendix, quality appendix. Then use relevant materials, relevant data, relevant information, and develop your analysis, which should lead to conclusion and recommendation. You must develop, you can make references, you must be able to demonstrate professional skepticism. You must be able to demonstrate professional skepticism, which is the ability to question data and information presented to you in the case scenario. So let's say in real life, you have a client you want to work for. Clients have supplied you with certain data. So professional skepticism is saying that maybe certain data and certain reports that you should work with. Professional skepticism is saying that you should not just take the reports or the data as though they are 100% accurate and complete. You should ask questions, probe it. Who prepared the report? What is the experience of the person? Possibly, what I normally do is that I will recreate that report myself with the data again. By so doing, you can spot mistakes, you can spot errors. So you must be able to demonstrate professional skepticism, proofread your work, and lastly, write a well-structured report in appropriate report format. I've said that, and this is the second time. You must be able to write a well-structured report in appropriate report format. So what candidate needs to do to be successful in case study exam? You must be able to identify the business situation, the business issues. But most importantly, you must be able to identify the life cycle of the business, because the life cycle of the business can quickly expose those underlying issues. Life cycle could be, let's say the business is at the growth phase, right? You know, at the growth phase, the business will be making good revenue, good profit. The business is growing, but because it's growing, that means it will also be spending on administration, because you are making so much sales, you are producing so much, you need more people, you employ more people, you are paying so much more people. So that means you can quickly spot the underlying issues that the business might be going through if you are able to identify the business situation in its life cycle. And you must remember that marks will only be awarded, particularly in case study exam, ICAN case study exam. Marks are usually awarded for demonstrating professional skills. What are those professional skills? And you must be able to understand and deal with the requirements in the case 100%. You must understand and deal with the requirements in the case. Now, you should also know that those techniques, those competencies, those skills, those methods, those analytical skills that you need to do a good report or to do a good case analysis cannot be developed overnight before the exam. After the last diet, when the report of the last diet came, I got a report from a student, while others were jubilating. I passed my case study, I passed, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. The man said that, oh, I failed, So I was even telling the person that, no, failure is part of the process, don't give up, blah, blah, blah. Then he responded and said that, Ogami, don't mind me, oh. It's not anybody's fault, oh. It's my fault, oh. Do you know that I never opened the case study materials. I did not even read. I did not even practice anything. Even the pre-scene, I did not even check it. So he just went into the exam without doing anything, and he failed woefully. But the thing is, the techniques, the method that you will use, you must have prepared yourself with that before the exam. Apply professional skepticism, evaluate the outcome of your analysis, develop clear conclusions, make recommendations, and produce a well-structured report. This is the third time. Produce a well-structured report that includes executive summary, body of the report, and other parts of the report. And again, it is essential for you to practice the method you are going to use to solve the case, the technique. You are supposed to practice it before the exam. So usually, okay. Now, before I round up on the lecture series 1, there's how I usually talk about the similarities between how the medical doctors, how they operate, and what we do, in case study exam. There is similarity, the process is very similar. Now, for the subject for the doctor, the medical doctor, is the patient. So a patient will go to the medical doctor, and the doctor will ask, Madam, what is your issue? Why are you here today? So the madam will start by saying, for the past 5 days, headache, back pain, body pain, this, that. Right? And something else will follow. But for the case study, the subject will be the client or your employer or the business, right? And I can tell you that they are the same. They are very similar, because we learned in business law that Businesses are artificial human beings. They have they have their own life. And that is why they have name. They can even buy and sell properties. Okay? Okay? They only function through people who are called what? Directors. Right? So they are the same. And when in the case study exam, what you will get is that instead of the patient to the medical doctor go to the hospital, the business case will be presented to you, will be given to you. Okay? The business case will be given to you. You have the business case, right? And for the medical doctor, the next stage is diagnosis. The next stage is diagnosis. Oh, so what is diagnosis? Diagnosis is when after the woman must have said so many things about what she's going through, then the doctor will ask questions like, so do you have any family member having the same issue? Or maybe your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, do they have similar issue? That is what is called diagnosis. So the major issue here is that the medical doctor is trying to understand the history behind what is happening to the woman, right? He's trying to understand the history of what is happening to the woman. Hello? I hope I'm not just talking to myself. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, good. I thought I was just talking to myself. Good, you are still with me. So, just to understand the story, understand if there are people in the family who had same issue before, and what I will do is that the doctor can quickly know that, oh, this is hereditary. If it is hereditary, well, there may be not so much solution. If it is a curable disease or something, maybe you can start to manage it. If it is a lifetime one, maybe you can start to manage it, right? But the history is there, and he can quickly start thinking about solution. But for the case, you can analyze the financial statement, maybe some transactions, maybe some project data and all that. And you see, the doctor cannot just conclude, that, oh, this is migraine, this is this type of disease, this is that. No. Rather, the doctor will subject such patient to what we call medical tests. Okay? So the doctor can suggest different tests that can show what the problem might be. Maybe 10 tests, right? So for case study, that is where we do our audits, financial analysis, trend analysis, we do so many things, right? Now, after the medical test is done, then the doctor will interpret the result, right? Look at the result. Oh, this one is negative, but this one is positive. That positive is the issue. What we do is we also interpret our ratios and appraisers and all the appraisals we have done. Okay? After the interpretation, then the doctor can conclude on the actual problem. Okay? The same thing is applicable. Then from the analysis, from the interpretation we have conducted, then we can conclude on the issues, the problem, the business is currently facing. We conclude. And lastly, the doctor will not just leave it there. He has to make recommendations on how to solve that problem. What is the recommendation? Recommendation from the doctor usually come in form of what? Drug prescription. That is what will solve the problem. But we cannot prescribe drugs, but rather we do what? We make what? Recommendations on maybe financial strategies, cost-cutting measures, investment decisions on how to go about the problems they are facing. Okay? The problem they are facing. So that will be the end of lecture series 1. So let me give you some time to ask me questions. I don't want to jump to lecture series 2 immediately. Or do you want me to fire on? Any question before I move on? Because I still have about 1 hour left.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go on.
Okay, please, I just want to ask, in answering this ICAN question, the
Okay.
case study, do you need to maybe leave a space to make that your detailed report while you now maybe analyze the statement, or does it just come in any pattern? What is the most advised way to go about it? Like, do you have to just like give a space where you give your detailed report while now doing the analysis and whatever you have to do in order to write that report? What do you advise?
Yes, that is correct. So when you are talking about detailed analysis, I want to believe you are talking about your computations, right? Is that what you mean?
Yes, like in during the competition, like what I mean is, like if during the ICAN exam now, you know that after everything, after doing the analysis and you now have to make that structured reports as you advised. So I want to know if maybe you have to leave a space before you go in to do that your computation or an analysis and even identifying of the problem. Why you leave a space, like is the report supposed to come first? Why maybe other thing comes? Like leaving a space after doing the analysis and everything, you will now come in that first page to start doing your report.
Okay, good. So you're already in the
presented.
You're already in the future. Good. So here is it. Before you can do your report on financial statement analysis, you must have computed your ratios, done some trend analysis and all that, maybe common size analysis, do all those computations before you come back to write. So that means, and I've said it, very briefly, that your computations cannot be in the body of your report, which means it has to be outside the body of the report, under what we call appendix. Okay? So an appendix usually come at the end of a report. Remember when you wrote your research in school? The appendix came at the end of that research, right? So the same way is applicable to case study report. Your computations will fall under the appendix, which should be presented at the last page of the report. Now, to answer your question, yes, you will have to leave space for your report writing by doing the composition, to do the computation. So you leave certain number of pages, you do the computation, then you come back, you open to the front again and start the report writing. How do I know the number of pages to leave? Probably I cannot tell you that. I don't know. The reason is, one, individuals have different writing patterns. Some people, they are writing, the size of their font is very big. So you can't tell me to know the number of pages such person will write, will leave to do the computation. However, what I can confidently tell you or recommend is that the only way you can know the number of pages you should leave for you to do your computations before you write is when you are practicing is, one, you must practice writing 1, 2, or 3 reports before the exam. This is on record, and you can play this again. You can play it again. You must write 1, 2, or 3. Between 2 and 3 reports. You must practice it. Now, why practicing? I will advise you get foolscap sheets or what you call higher education paper or book and practice with it. Why? The higher education paper, to the best of my knowledge, is the closest you could get to your answer booklet. I know you know the answer booklet is very big, but the higher education paper, and that was what I did myself, so I can boldly recommend this. The higher education paper is very close to the answer booklet in the exam. So if you have practiced with the higher education, you will know by the time you have written 2, 3, 4, 5 reports, maybe 4 reports, 3 reports, you will know the number your appendix is starting from. That number the page of the appendix falls on, then maybe you can add 2 or 3 to it. Depends. Add +2 to that number before. Then you start your appendix. That is what I can say about that. Thank you for that question. Any other question? I hope I've answered that question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Mercy, why are you not and why are you not asking questions? Omonwumi.
I'm fine. I will soon
Great.
ask as we go on. I'll ask.
Chidima, Bukola. Okay. So let me see. Because this is on record, I want it to be. I don't want to miss the lectures together. All right, so let me just start the introduction to the lecture series 2. So that is the general introduction to case study. So now you have a fair knowledge of what you are getting into, right? You have a very fair knowledge of what you are getting into, the case study exam you are preparing for. You have a fair knowledge. Now, let's look at lecture series 2. Introduction to ICAN case study. So I already told you that. So I just want to do a brief introduction, then I will end the class. Okay, so we continue with lecture series 2 next, because it's a whole lecture on its own. So I don't want to merge it with the introduction, but I'll just do a very brief introduction. Lecture series 2, introduction to ICAN case study. I told you the other time that different schools have different ways they structure their case study exam. ICAN is following the same pattern used by ICAW, Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales. So we are following it very close, very, very close. Okay. One reason is due to the ICAN is trying to follow, yes, global best practice. And that is why we have to introduce the pre-seen and unseen recently in November 2019, so that we can be at par with what is obtainable globally. Then it's also different from what I've seen many universities do in the UK. In the UK, different universities come up with different ways they test their case study, right? But for ICAN case study, the first thing is different too. Yes, it is different. But the first question we have to ask ourselves is, why do you have to pass case study? before ICAN can say certify you as a qualified chartered accountant, a member of the institute. Why must you pass the paper? Now, listen attentively. The major reason is that ICAN, for all the exams that you have been writing, for all the papers you have been passing, for all the preparation you have been going through, the only reason is to prepare you to become a business advisor, or what you can call to become a consultant. To become a consultant or business advisor. So the question becomes, who is a business advisor? Who can we call a business advisor? Very, very simple. A business advisor is that professional that can give advice, support to businesses in order for the business to achieve its what? Goal and objectives. Any professional who provide advice or advisory service to businesses in order for them to help them achieve their what? Their objective. So we have different advisors. We have financial advisors. We have legal advisor. We could have we have many of them. We have human resource advisor. We have marketing advisor. We have a lot of them. However, and we have chartered accountants as advisors. However, the major difference between you as a business advisor and other advisors is that you are groomed. ICAN has groomed you not to only become a business, a financial advisor only. You have been groomed to understand different aspects of the business. Particularly, you have the ability to interpret and understand financial information and other data. You have been groomed to analyze financial information and other data. Other advisors, they don't have that skill. They can only, they can only interpret data or information related to their field. But as a chartered accountant, you can interpret, you can understand and interpret financial data, maybe market data, maybe human resources data, production data, virtually all the data that pertains to a business, you will be able to understand and interpret it. That is the difference. That is the difference between you and them. So what are the roles of a business advisor? They help in strategic planning. They develop and implement business strategies. They help in financial management, advice on financial planning, budgeting, cash flow, how to manage cash flow. They help in market analysis. When they get market insight, market data, they can help to analyze it. Operational efficiency. They have to look for issues in an operation and come up with a workable operation. They help in growth and expansion, risk management, human resources. So those are the rules of business advisor. And if you look at it, because accountants partake in human resources most of the time, there's no way you want to do in an organization that accountant will not partake. At least they will prepare their salary. Sometimes when you want to recruit, you will involve them. They will be at the panel. They will be among the panel, right? There's no way you want to deal with compliance that will not involve the accountants. Tax, they are there. Growth and expansion. You want to grow and expand. You need financial planning. You need appraiser. Accountants will be there. Risk management. You have been groomed to become a risk manager in your CSME. What else? Operational efficiency. Because accountants cannot function very well without understanding the business and its operation. So if there are issues in the business operation, accountants will know about it because it will reflect in the records kept and their financials. So they know about it. Market analysis, of course, they have that, they can analyze them, and strategic planning. So you can see that all of this. So ICAN chartered accountant combine the skill of every other type of business advisor. That is why, as a chartered accountant now, I can function, and in fact, I'm functioning as a human resource person, at least to a very large extent. Maybe not to the level of that professional in that field, but I can still function and do many other things. So we want to say that I don't want to go into it too much. Right. So why business owners, why they need business advisors? Why do they need business advisors? Because of their expertise. They are experts, and they can give expert and objective opinion. They are not going to be biased. They will say things as it is. They will say things based on facts and figures, based on actual scenario. They save time. The time a business needs to think about issues. No, you don't need. Just get an advisor and they will advise you. They solve problems. They solve business problems. They are accountable. Their business will be accountable, and their risk, they help to reduce risk because they have been trained to identify and manage risk. So they help to reduce business risk and performance improvement. They can also function to help improve the performance of an organization. For instance, if they are looking at the business operation, they can help to improve the business operation, take away loopholes, put in the things they need to put in, which will improve the operation of improve the operation of the business, thereby improve the performance of the business. So I would like us to stop here today for the lecture series 1, so we can continue proper with lecture series 2. It's a whole topic on its own, and I don't really want to match it because of the recording. I don't want to match it with the lecture series 1. All right, thank you. Any question before we leave? Any question? Any question before we leave?
No, sir, not from me.
All right. Thank you. You can rest before your next lecture. All right. Thank you. Do have a
Thank you, sir.